The year is 2060. The Iran-America War of 2026 is being analyzed. Research shows it was a turning point. The American century didn't end with a bang in Washington. It ended with a flickering light in a basement in Tehran. It ended because a giant was led into a labyrinth and realized too late that the walls were moving. Not because the United States lost every battle, not because Iran conquered Washington, but because for the first time in decades, a smaller regional power proved that America could be exhausted, contained, and strategically defeated. For the first time, America looked confused on the battlefield, shocking. And the world watched it happen in real time. The war did not begin with missiles. It began with pressure. By the late 2020s, relations between Iran and the United States had reached their most dangerous point since the Iraq War. Sanctions had crippled Iran's economy for years. Cyber attacks targeted infrastructure. Oil tankers were sabotaged in the Gulf. Proxy militias fought invisible wars across Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and Yemen. For ordinary Iranians, the conflict already felt permanent. But historians today believe the true turning point came after a series of escalating assassinations and covert strikes inside Iranian territory. To Americans, they were strategic operations. To Iranians, they became national humiliation. And history has shown something dangerous about humiliation. Powerful nations often survive it, civilizations rarely forget it. Inside Iran, an entire generation grew up under sanctions, isolation, and constant threats of war. Yet instead of collapsing, the country adapted. Factories moved underground, military production decentralized, drone programs expanded, cyber warfare divisions multiplied. The sky over the Gulf didn't belong to the F-35s anymore. It belonged to the swarm, thousands of $500 lawnmower engines strapped to explosives, clouding the radar like a plague of locusts. A billion-dollar carrier group, paralyzed by plastic and glue. By 2030, Iran no longer planned to defeat America conventionally. It planned to make victory impossible. That distinction would change everything. Future historians often compare the opening phase of the war to the early months of the Vietnam conflict. Washington believed overwhelming force would restore deterrence quickly. Instead, every strike widened the battlefield. When American aircraft struck Iranian military infrastructure after attacks on Gulf shipping lanes, officials expected Tehran to back down. Instead, Iran activated what analysts later called the Ring of Fire. Militias across the Middle East intensified operations simultaneously. American bases in Iraq came under missile and drone attacks. Shipping through the Strait of Hormuz became unpredictable. Oil prices exploded almost overnight. The global economy panicked. And for the first time in years, average people in Europe, Asia, and Africa began asking a terrifying question. Can America still control the world order? That question mattered more than the battlefield itself, because empires survive not only through strength, but through belief in their strength. The Iranian strategy was never centered on destroying the American military. It was centered on destroying confidence. And slowly, it worked. Historians argue Iran understood something Washington failed to accept. America had unmatched firepower, but limited patience. And also Americans had grown corrupt. Their weapons had become white elephants. Their military-industrial complex and some dark groups sucked the lifeblood out of America. America was exploited, just like the whole world was before. Iran had limited resources, but unlimited endurance. The war became a contest between time and power, and time favored Tehran. American carriers once dominated the seas, now they were hiding. Stealth bombers devastated infrastructure. Iranian facilities were also burned across the country, but every destroyed site seemed to create 3 more, hidden beneath mountains, deserts, and cities. Drone warfare transformed the conflict completely. Cheap Iranian-made drones flooded the skies of the Middle East. Some targeted bases, others targeted oil infrastructure. Some existed purely to exhaust expensive American defense systems. A missile worth millions could be used to stop a drone worth Then came the cyber phase. Banks froze, ports shut down, energy grids failed temporarily across multiple countries. No side officially admitted responsibility, but by the mid-2030s, historians would describe the conflict as the first true integrated cyber-industrial war, and ordinary civilians paid the price. In Iran, sanctions and bombardments devastated daily life. Electricity shortages became common. Hospitals struggled. Inflation spiraled. But instead of collapsing into revolt, much of the population rallied around resistance. Not necessarily because they loved their government, but because foreign attacks transformed political frustration into national survival. That psychological transformation shocked Western analysts. Every bomb strengthened the narrative that Iran stood alone against foreign domination. In the United States, the opposite happened. At first, the war generated patriotic unity. But as oil prices surged and American casualties mounted across scattered fronts, public support eroded. The problem was not battlefield defeat. The problem was exhaustion without progress. Americans were told Iran would be isolated. Instead, the conflict destabilized global trade. They were told precision strikes would restore order. Instead, new militias emerged continuously. They were told escalation would force surrender. Instead, Iran endured, and endurance itself became victory. Historians now compare the war's middle years to the Soviet experience in Afghanistan, not because America lacked military superiority, but because superior militaries struggle against enemies willing to absorb suffering indefinitely. Meanwhile, global power dynamics quietly shifted. China increased trade influence across Asia. Russia expanded energy leverage. Regional powers began preparing for a world where American intervention was no longer guaranteed. The psychological consequences were enormous. For decades, American power rested partly on inevitability. The belief that resistance was temporary, that eventually, Washington would impose its will. Iran shattered that image, not with conquest, not with superior technology, but with survival. And survival changed geopolitics. By the late 2030s, ceasefire negotiations finally emerged through exhausted intermediaries. The final agreement confused many observers. Iran was heavily damaged. Its economy remained strained. Entire regions suffered destruction. And yet, historians overwhelmingly describe the outcome as an Iranian strategic victory. Why? Because the objectives were different from the beginning. America sought deterrence, regional dominance, and the restoration of uncontested credibility. Its objectives were vague. They almost fought half-heartedly on behalf of, well, silence. Iran sought endurance. Only one side achieved its core objective. The war fundamentally altered military doctrine worldwide. Small powers studied Iran carefully. Not its ideology, its methods. Decentralized warfare, cheap drones, proxy pressure, cyber disruption, economic endurance, narrative warfare. The message was clear. Future wars would not always be won by the strongest nation. They could be won by the nation hardest to break. But the deepest scar left by the conflict was psychological, especially inside America. For younger generations, the war became symbolic of imperial overstretch. The divide became clearer. American people and oligarchs were not one nation. They were not equal. People had to die in another endless conflict with unclear victory. Another demonstration that technological superiority could not solve political realities. Another that common people were equally downtrodden across borders. Meanwhile, in Iran, the war transformed national identity. It was the moment Persia resisted a modern empire and survived. Schoolbooks in the 2050s described the conflict not as the Iran-America War, but as the Resistance War. And across much of the global south, perceptions changed too. Many countries did not necessarily support Iran politically, but they saw something historically unprecedented. A sanctioned regional power had stood against the world's greatest military superpower and endured long enough to force strategic retreat. Superpower ran away with bloody nose like a shark running after a human punched it in the face. That mattered, especially in a century increasingly defined by declining unipolar power. Today, in 2060, historians still debate whether the war could have been avoided. Some argue diplomacy failed long before the first missile strike. Others believe both governments became trapped by escalation, pride, and domestic politics.